All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is a fun activity day. We are going to be Phoenician traders, and it's going to be a simulation to see how successful you were as a Phoenician trading captain. Let's get a little bit of information here, and what I want to ask is this. If you have not passed out this sheet at this time, the Phoenician trade route simulation, please do pause the video and make sure that each person has this sheet. So please do pause the video if you need to hand out this sheet. Alright, so before we begin our simulation, let's kind of get some background. So yesterday we did have a little video that did focus on who the Phoenicians actually were. So what you're going to see on our map here, you can see, alright, with Tyre was a Phoenician colony. Carthage, also a Phoenician colony. Also Cadiz was also that. But with the Phoenicians, based on what we've learned about them and what ancient historians have found, they've actually even had opportunity where some Phoenicians actually made it to Ireland, which is kind of a very interesting thing. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to read through just the situation, get a little bit of background information to learn more. So please do be patient, and please follow along as I do read this information. All right, the Phoenician trade route simulation. The ancient Phoenicians are renowned for their sailing abilities and extensive trade routes. They sailed throughout the Mediterranean Sea and one of the first peoples to sail beyond the Straits of Gibraltar, that's right here, into the Atlantic Ocean. They traded as far away as Ireland and Senegal, and that's right here. This is Senegal, that's in Western Africa. The Phoenicians were famous for purple dye called murex, which was made from sea snails, also called Tyrrhenian purple. Murex was an extremely expensive commodity, and as a result, only the rich wore clothes dyed purple. Eventually, purple became the color of royalty. The Phoenicians knew their trading partners very well. They traded goods with one group of people for goods that they could sell to another group. In doing so, the Phoenicians were able to create a very profitable loop of trading ports. A trading ship would leave the port city of Tyre with murex and cedar from Lebanon, which is just to the north, make numerous stops to exchange one form of goods for another, and eventually return home to Tyre, often with linen and gold. Now in this simulation, you will take on the role of a trade captain and determine how much of your goods to trade at a particular trade port. Now, depending on the location, you will exchange one good for another good, or gold, and then move on to the next port. The success of your trade will be determined by the roll of the dice. To simplify the simulation, all products, pottery, metals, jewels, etc., will be measured as a unit, and all units will be equal. For example, 1 unit of cedar will be the same value as 1 unit of gold or 1 unit of linen. Now let's take a look at the instructions, and I'll also play through the simulation so you know what to do. So here are our instructions, and make sure you have this to refer back to as you work. Your goal is to end the game with as much gold as possible. At each trading stop, decide the number of goods to be traded. Roll 2 dice and use the trade rate chart. Determine how the trade went. It is possible to lose half the units, break even, or double the units on each roll. Move on to the next port and repeat the process. In some ports, you will trade goods for gold rather than other goods. Keep a tally of your gold in the right column. The final trade at Tyre will have a special trade rate which is different from all other ports. Watch out! A roll of 2 will sink your ship and you lose everything. So, before we go over the simulation rules, teacher, please make certain that each student has a pair of dice. It does not matter if they are the same color or not, just as long as each person has 2 dice. Now, for a trade to actually work, one add-on rule that I will put in is this. you need to make sure that the dice are not flying all over. They need to be able to roll right in front of you. So, teacher, please pause the video at this time, and please pass out 2 dice to each student. Now, as I have done this simulation several times, these rules do need to be followed. And keep in mind, as you go through, ladies and gentlemen, I will be collecting these, so make sure that you are being fair, that you're being honest, because the goal is not to be cheating, because there's no prize. I just want to see how you do. So let's look at these key 6 rules before I actually show you the simulation. Number 1, you cannot trade more than you have on board your ship. So if you have 100 of an item, you can't trade 200. Right? Should be pretty obvious. Number 2, you must trade at each stop, and a minimum of 2 units must be traded. If a traded good will be sold at 2 or more locations, you may not sell all of your goods at one port and 0 at another. And I'll explain that too. So if you have 2 ports, you cannot do 0 and then the others. All trades must be done using even numbers. So make sure no odds, even only. Number 4, if you end up with a fraction of a unit, round up. Players will with only 1 unit of goods to trade must return home to Tyre and await the end of the game. Once you have gold, you must keep it. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. So please turn over your sheet and please put your beautiful name right at the top of this sheet. And what we're going to do is you're actually going to do this simulation twice. So what I would like you to do is this. I'd like you to split each of your boxes in half. So you have one for round 1 and round 2. Split there, there, and then we'll split these other ones here too on the bottom, just so that we have that for what we got. And we'll do this one too. Alright, so let's begin our trade simulation. What I'm going to ask you to do is watch as I do this first round, and don't worry, you'll have time to do 2 full rounds before class is over. So imagine you are a Phoenician captain ready to set sail on your next trading voyage. Your ship hold is filled with cedar from Lebanon and Murex, Tyre's famous purple dye. You will leave the port city of Tyre and travel to Rhodes, Senegal, Ireland, Cadiz, Sardinia, Carthage, Egypt, and finally return to Tyre. Can you return to Tyre with a large cargo of linen and a chest of gold? So at each location, decide the number of units you will be trading. Roll 2 dice and determine the trade rate from the chart on the on the top. So make sure your trade rate is here based on the dice roll and the result. Calculate the result of your trade and enter the number in the chart below. Copy the number in the units on board in the next row down. So the next row down. Copy that number and then repeat at the next location. So, no matter what, I'm starting with 100 units, and our trading stop is Rhodes, and we are trading for Greek pottery. So hopefully in this simulation, I don't have the ship sink right away. That would be a massive bummer. Let's take a look. Hopefully we'll see. So I'm trading 100 units, and I have 4. So since I rolled 4, it says keep half of the trade. So what that means is, as I went for Greek pottery, I rolled a 4 for my first box, and my result was 50. Not off to a good start. So I moved my 50 down to 50 units of Greek pottery. Now, I have 2 trading ports, and I only have this amount. So what I'm going to do, because you want to have as much gold as possible, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade 30 units of gold to Senegal and 20 units to Ireland for metals. So, let's hope I have big money on this one, literally, and let's go. My roll was 9, okay? So, looking up at the trade rate, break even was 9. So, I rolled 9 for the gold, so I broke even, so my result was 30 gold, and that means I have 30 gold, part of my overall total. Now I'm going to roll again, because now I need to see I have 20. And I rolled a 3. So 3 on the result here, that is half of my trade is gone. So my result is 10. So now I am down here to 10 units. Man, this guy is not a good trading captain for sure. Now, I only have 10 units, so I'm going to go 4 gold and 6 going for jewels here. Roll for gold, and I got 6, another break even. So I rolled 6, got 4 as a result, and 4 gold. Now I got to roll for jewelry. Come on, jewelry, big money. 8, broke even at least, but I rolled an 8. And my result was 6. So now 6 units is what I have for going to Carthage. So I am trading 6 units at Carthage. And I got 9. Oh, still at break even. So I rolled 9. And then I had 6 units again. 6 units for jewelry. Now I'm in Egypt. I'm going to do 6 again. And I got 4. I lose half of those. So, let's go now to this bottom portion. Now it says, once you return home to Tyre, you will need to sell your load of linen for gold. Roll the die and use the table below to determine the ratio for your final trade. So, I have 3 units, which is not good. And I need to roll to see if I can get any gold out of this one. I'm hoping I get a 12, honestly. This has not been a good trade. I am not a good captain. And I got 11. So, 11 was my roll. So I had 3 units. As a result of my roll, I had 11. So the total gold I had from this trade was 3 times 2, which is 6. And that means I have 6 gold. And then overall final score of gold I had of 40. So, answering my question, how much gold did you earn on this trading expedition? I had 40. And I looked at my ranking for my really terrible sea captainship here for this example. I definitely was not an admiral. That would have been epic. Captain, no. First mate. Swab is 100 units or less. So I am a swab. How good was that? So, now, ladies and gentlemen, what you have is your opportunity to actually go and explore all, and make sure to do the simulation twice. Now, if your ship sinks, bummer, okay? If it does sink at some point, just see your total gold at the end to see how you did, and then go to your simulation again. So, as you go through, make sure you do divide up your work so that you have 2 sections of your simulation. I hope you guys have fun. Teacher, if you have any questions, make sure that they just kind of follow those step-by-steps as we go. And you guys enjoy trading as Phoenicians. I look forward to seeing your results at the end of class. Again, make sure your beautiful name is right here, and please turn it in. Have fun, guys.